um, like as we go live here, one of the things like that I love about the Cole Kmet discourse is like he's had blow up games now. And so I'm in the goingfor2.com Discord. I'm one of the channel analysts that they have in there.
Mm-hmm.
I help build it. And I like got shit on for my anti Cole Kmet takes. Like when people were taking him in like the mid fifth because he was like a breakout. I was like, just pay less for Njoku. And I got shit on. Same with Patty Fries.
Oh, people loved Cole Kmet, man.
And I can't. And now he scored a couple of touchdowns, and people are losing it. I've gotten rid of every share. I have gotten rid of every share that I collected. Finally, I was finally able to move him for like high seconds. You want to hear something absolutely disgusting? Also, what up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. Look, if you're unfamiliar with what's going on here, we started the show early tonight, right? 2, Tom Lee's not here, so I am down 1 member of the Commonwealth. Not great. And
I'm going to do my best to fill in, let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Oh, my God. Tom Lee's going to love that. Oh, my God.
Crikey, mate.
Oh, my God. Just one time I've asked Tom Lee to say that, and he never will. It really makes me mad.
Well, you didn't need him to. I just did it for him.
You're gonna drink like an Aussie for him. It's gonna be great.
That's right. It's perfect.
Want to hear an absolutely disgusting tidbit?
Bring it.
An absolutely gross. I don't know who's knocking on my door, but I'm live right now. An absolutely disgusting tidbit of information. What do you think is the worst draft pick slot you could possibly have? What do you think it is?
What, in like rookie drafts?
In a Superflex rookie draft, what is the worst draft slot you think you could have? Where do you think gets fucked up the most?
Probably like 102, 103, because those are the worst players, and they draft the worst players because of it.
Not even close. Lucas is closer. 201. Not including this year. Do you want to hear every pick made since 2017 at ADP at pick 201? Evan Ingram, Sam Darnold, Mecole Hardman, Keyshawn Vaughn, Rashad Bateman. That 201. That's brutal. That's awful.
That's pretty bad.
I wouldn't even call guys like Bateman like remotely acceptable.
It's sad how many 201s I had and then made those exact same picks. Because they're just going down the line. I'm like, dang, no, stop.
But I think that's what I was basically trying to say, though. Like, a lot of times the worst players in Dynasty have the earliest picks and they screw it up. Now, maybe they can't screw up the first couple of picks, but then they can screw up the 201, 202, 203.
And what's crazy to me is that it's not even like I can't remember how many times. And since today is going to be all trade talk based, right? That's what this whole thing is. How many times have you been like, oh yeah, or you've heard someone, or even had the thought yourself, or like, oh yeah, but I'm getting that extra early second, like it's a lock to be 201, and you're like hype about it, and then it like if you go just by the ADP, now you're fucked. It's kind of interesting when you think about, oh well, I've got this early 2 locked down. It's not always a great thing. I don't have 2022's data yet. I think Tom Lee and I are working on that. We haven't added it to our little gimmick here, but it's kind of absolutely wild. I started looking at it after you and I had our last argument on Wednesday, and
did we have an argument?
Yeah, we have a few.
You'll always have arguments, okay?
Who, me?
John? I feel like mine and John's, they get kind of personal a little bit. Like it can get personal.
It never gets bad personal. It's just look, I'm better than you.
I just start to hate your face after a little while. I don't want to look at it anymore. Even if it is good looking, I just don't even want to look at it anymore.
This is why you should be in our Discord. That's all I'm going to say.
You know what is really bad?
That's a good point.
Another pick. I think you were really close on this, John, but 102. 102 is also really bad. Since 2017, Corey Davis, Darius Geis, Josh Jacobs, he's a hit, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then Trey Lance at 102.
Yeah, but you can't even necessarily. I mean, Jacobs definitely is not a bust, but like you can't say that you were 102 or happy with drafting him at 102 either.
There's worse ones, obviously.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm just saying, like, that. I mean, if Jacobs is
year,
the best pick out of all of those, that just goes to show.
And just in that draft year, right? So 2019, Kyler Murray 101. That's obviously smash. You'd make that pick every time. Even though he's sliding in like the net market dynasty community, he's still like, I'd still take him in that 101.
Yeah.
Right? Then Josh Jacobs. Okay, do you want to hear the rest? Just for fun. N'Keal Harry, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Dwayne Haskins, RIP, DK Metcalf, TJ Hawkinson, AJ Brown, Paris Campbell, Noah Fant, Debo, Mecole Hardman, Hollywood Brown. That rounds out up to 202. Like, you obviously want like AJ Brown over Jacobs. I would argue DK Metcalf. No fucking way. TJ Hawkinson. I wouldn't even say I would rather have Josh Jacobs at this point in hindsight over Debo. Like, Debo's given you one super elite season, and outside of that,
yeah.
I mean, Jacobs is in the middle of his first elite season, though.
What's that?
Yeah,
I was saying that Jacobs is in the middle of his first like elite season.
Yeah,
so
but his
I don't know.
Season is like patty cake compared to what Debo did last year. Debo last year was
a league winner.
He made Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Debo Samuel was able to make people in the ether and on the internet believe that Jimmy Garoppolo was actually good at playing football. He's fucking terrible. He's awful. He's brutal. The man, hey, he's really good at being, what was that, like 10-2 without throwing a touchdown pass? He's very good
amazing
at navigating that football team. But
that shows you how bad Trey Lance is. That Jimmy G comes in and actually looks 1,000 times better.
So the one game you get to see a Trey Lance in was the monsoon game.
He played like 6 games so far.
Yeah, he was like QB1 in two starts, 2 of his 3
with like
starts?
a 45% completion rate.
No one gives a fuck about completion
Thank goodness we're not NFL scouts.
John, no one cares. There's only
I guarantee you that his coach cares about his completion rate.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go with what Kyle Shanahan likes. Like Kyle Shanahan, the guy that has Christian McCaffrey, gets him on a bye, rests him up, and then trots out Elijah Mitchell to out-touch Christian McCaffrey in the
guy that's about to re-sign Jimmy G to a long contract just because Trey Lance is so bad.
Do we take that bet?
We're
live right now. No. Yeah, exactly. Walk that back. That squeaking that people might hear in their headphones right now, if you're watching this on YouTube, that's the sound of John's pedals going back. That back pedal is hard. You're backpedaling about as well.
Yeah, because I'm going up against a guy that they traded 3 first-round picks for, but I'm saying it would not blow my mind. That doesn't mean I'm going to bet on it.
Percentage doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter.
But it does, though.
It won't when you traded 3 first-round picks to move out to get a guy. It won't matter.
At least they didn't sign up to a high $25 million contract.
You know who else it didn't matter for? It didn't matter for Lamar Jackson. It didn't matter for Justin Fields. It didn't matter even for your guy, Kyler Murray, who I know you believe is like the super elite, accurate quarterback, but he has flaws. Didn't matter. They're all going to get signed. They're all elite fantasy producers. But I think Debo's dead at his current status, but that's neither here nor there. I'm actually trying to pull up right now, and it's really sad. I'm going to pull up a little tidbit from the latest chart porn article from Fantasy.
Saw that earlier.
Oh yeah, I love doing that TLDR. I learned quite a bit from doing that, which is saying a lot because I don't read good. And
you don't have to delete your browser history after you read that.
It's true. Yeah, that's all right. Well, for my FBI agent, he knows what's up. Even if I delete it, they've already got that. Just the Debo stats are crazy. Like how he went from like a 27% opportunity share, whatever, to like a 17. Like since Christian McCaffrey's gotten there, but Ayuk's has gone up. It's actually kind of insane. But that is what it is. Hey, look, that's the bonus. Look, sometimes we talk strategy. Sometimes we talk shit. Sometimes we yell a lot, but you're only going to get this portion if you're subscribed to the YouTube. So shout out to everyone subscribed to the YouTube. I say we fired up in the thread. Oh, baby. It's Friday night. That can only be one thing. That means everyone listening right now has it locked in to the Full Tilt Podcast Network. This is the Fantasy Walkabout. This is episode 182 already of the Full Tilt Podcast Network. Kind of wild to think about. We're down one Aussie, but we've gained one John. And I'll take that trade, especially in the clutch. He's coming in. Helping us out. If you're new to the program, guess what? We got a couple of things for you. We're going to do our Budgie Smugglers. We've got my almost hot take of the week. We've got quite a few things. And the most important thing is what I can only imagine is going to be a very interesting trade deadline discussion. Anyone who doesn't know, John and I rarely agree on anything.
Have we agreed on something?
I think we've agreed on a couple of things at one point or another. And
how drunk was I?
Very to the point where happy hour. Shout out to the happy hour crew, but you don't always remember your quotes, so I have to remind you of them. That's about the only time you can agree. But I, of course, am your host with the most time in his hands. I am Thomas Tipple FF. Joining me, as always, is Lucas Gilbert. That's at the Cute Hurts, and from the Full Tilt Devy Pod, also on the Full Tilt Podcast Network, it is John Arrington at Dynasty Coach A. We've already had some phenomenal folks in the chat. Oh, Andy Starr is here. Can't wait
That's
to
my
talk
co-host.
That's right. Other co-host of the Full Tilt Devy. Can't wait to talk about Cortland Sutton, Andy. And we've also had TD here in the preview. Look, if you're listening to this in the podcast version, look, you're not going to want to miss out on the bonus. On the Walkabout and on the Full Tilt, we do an extra 5 to 10 minutes or so. Sometimes we're just talking shit. Sometimes we are talking strategy. I mean, we got a really good trade-based strategy situation a couple weeks ago with Jacob and I. It's just a great time. A little bit of bonus. They're going to head over to the Full Tilt Podcast Network on YouTube. Get all that. Hit that sub. Hit the noti button. That's enough ad talk.
How did Andy know that we were talking about that?
Because he sensed it. He sensed it. He for sure sensed it. Yeah.
Dude, that's why he's in the chat right now. He got the spidey sense, and he's like, I got to get there.
You know, when y'all talk about Jerry Judy, I magically happen to appear
It's
on
true.
the show.
You've done it like 3 times.
Yeah.
You did it 3 times this year. It's just absolutely
It was
phenomenal.
3 shows in a row, too.
Yeah,
But then we
great.
talk about Cortland Sutton. Andy Starr decides to show up out of nowhere. Whenever we start talking about Quinn Ewers on the Devy show, Tom's going to pop out of nowhere and be like, hold on. Watch it.
Just imagine like immediately shitting on a guy because he had a couple of rough weeks. Like, I mean, look, we talk about being non-reactionary as people, but yet, Quinn Ewers, he's fucking 2nd round pick now. Shenanigans, just unbelievable. Relax, breathe. It's gonna be okay. But look, as I said, we've got a couple of things. So obviously, there's 672,421 fantasy football news outlets, podcasts, Twitters for now until it dies, and YouTube channels, articles, blogs, blurps, TikToks, everything. You don't need the news from us. All right, we're not gonna break the news to you. However, I do like to ask if there's one thing that happened this week that really stands out that you guys don't think has been beaten to death like a dead horse. So, news, anything that stands out to either one of you, go.
Not really. I mean, obviously, the bye weeks this week suck. That's all I know. We were talking about it a little bit earlier, and just setting some of my lineups. I'm like picking up guys, just off the streets basically, and throwing them into some of these flex spots because it is bad.
Yeah, I'm starting Andy Dalton in way too many leagues, and I do not feel good about it at all. But luckily, I still have Donta Foreman. He's saving my RB season right now. So.
Oh my God, it makes me so happy. Donta Foreman just makes me incredibly happy. Also love that they're calling him Baby Henry now. I just think there's something phenomenal about. He's gonna get absolutely shit kicked this week, but I mean, whatever. It's gonna be for a good cause for me anyway.
Yeah, but it's 2 years in a row that he went from basically nothing to I don't want to say a league winner, but good enough to get you into the playoffs, keep you afloat, that kind of thing, and that is very valuable.
I went from last place to mediocre, so I'm taking it.
He's got 2 rough weeks that I don't want to play him, right? Baltimore and Denver, don't want to play him. Then a bye, so you can't play him. But then Seattle, Pittsburgh, Detroit, weeks 14, 15, and 16. Lock it in. You play him on those weeks. Absolutely lock it in. But that's about it for the news. I don't really need to know anything else other than that. Other than the fact that you mentioned Andy Dalton, I find it interesting that there's rumblings and people wondering why Jameis Winston's not playing. I think it's so weird that they're just set on sticking with Andy Dalton just to ruin Chris Olave's season. It's infuriating.
I mean, it sucks, but I mean, they both suck. Like, it's not like I
least
feel like people are like, oh well, Andy Dalton sucks. We got to get Jameis in here. Then they put Jameis in for a week, and they're like, oh shit, we got to get Dalton back in here.
Wait a minute. Did you all just agree on a quarterback take?
Oh yeah,
damn it!
I think it's the first time.
No, that one's obvious. That one's obvious.
Yeah, that one's too easy.
No, you gotta take the small wins.
Wait. Wouldn't Jameis Winston technically be a hit because he had one top 12 season? Wouldn't that count as a hit within your whoop-de-doop-de mythological somewhere out there in another universe format? You drafted
I don't remember. I don't remember what he did in his rookie year.
It was not a hit in his rookie year. It was
He wasn't
a true
he's not
hit.
a hit then.
He wasn't a true hit. Wait, you have to hit in the rookie? I cannot.
No, I guess not.
Wild.
I'd say by the second year to be a hit, you gotta hit by the second year.
Interesting. I don't remember what year was a 30 for 30 year, but I think
that was his third year.
Maybe 2 points per game.
Actually, I think that was his fourth year because he was cut after the 30 for 30 year. Like his best year in fantasy was the year that the Bucks were like, all right, we're done with you because he threw fucking 30 interceptions.
Oh, he was really bad, but now I gotta check. I don't know why this
That's his fourth year. Yeah, because they didn't re-sign him on his rookie year contract. It looks like we also have a question or a comment.
Yeah, I saw Matty B's. Give me 1 second. Now I gotta go there just because I need to. I'm on a mission now to prove John's thing is false. Let's see. Oh no, he wasn't. He wasn't a QB1 until 2018. Okay, there you go. Fair enough.
Yeah. He is not a hit.
He's not a hit. All right. I'm just going to keep bringing it up now every time.
Every single player.
My almost hot take. Win now team that should still be very good next year, but you just need 24 first and second for Ramondre and Ayuk. I would.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards that.
I traded a 24 first straight up for Stevenson not that long ago. So I think
if there was any 23 picks in here, I'd probably be out, but 24 picks, as much as like I like the class, it's very top heavy. So I'm not saying just like throw away your 24 picks, but if you feel like this is going to be the difference, then I'm all for it.
I feel like you can get those 24 picks back. Like I feel like you can get it back.
You have plenty of time.
That's going to be a big theme throughout this episode, I imagine. Anyway, look, we're going to get on to the Budgie Smuggler of the Week. However, something I like to do is, make an almost hot take of the week. And it kind of ties into Tom Lee's Budgie Smuggler, which I will read because he's not here. So John just gets to sit here and look pretty. He doesn't read show sheets. Anyway. Yeah, he doesn't read show sheets anyway. But look, my first almost hot take was that Isaiah Likely was going to finish as like top 10 tight end, I believe. He was number 9, I believe, in that week. So I'll take it. If it was top 3, then I failed miserably. But that's why it's an almost hot take. My hot take this week is that Kendall Hinton will finish as a wide receiver 3. Now, you might think, why is that hot takey? Because he's scored like 9 points one time ever. But Vegas funnels targets inside, and Jerry Jeudy's already been ruled out. He's already done. So,
and Hamler too.
Yeah, and Hamler. Oh man, Hamler is so depressing. He does not want to be anywhere near Russ. So yeah, Kendall Hinton. I'm actually putting him in more lineups than I want to admit. It's really depressing.
I get it. Like it's hot because he's not good, but I feel like a wide receiver 3 is not hot enough. I mean, that's
why it's an almost hot take, John.
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
Hot take of the week. All right. See, folks, what we did there is we introduced John to the bit, and he walked right in.
I did. But not in my league. Not in my league, dude.
That's what means it works. All right. That means the bit works, and I love that. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna do our Budgie Smugglers and get right into the rest of the epi. Sit tight.
I think mine is really dumb.
Now we love it.
You're taking us in very different directions. I look forward to a third different direction here.
I'm not going to be able to get through this, and this is going to derail the show. I think all of these guys...
When was it railed?
I think all three of these players. I think all three of these players are washed like a hamburger that was cooked in the dryer.
That's good. I love that.
So, all right. I think I derailed Tom a little bit too much on that. So, my argument with
There are a few people that I think are smarter than Billy on this entire planet, and that was the best analogy I've ever heard in my life. That's why I played it multiple shows in a row here. It's so fucking good, and they are washed. But Aaron Rodgers decided he was going to go out and have a couple 20-point games. Their dynasty value is still washed, but leave it to us to say something, and then all of a sudden they go blah, 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 and they come back. Look, budgie smugglers they're for peak performance, right? They're not for the everyday person. They should be. That confidence can come just by putting a budgie smuggler on. You just have to be brave enough to do it. So every week we like to pick a couple of players that are walking around with a little bit of extra confidence because they got their budgies on. They're packing full heat. Doesn't matter if it's hot, cold, doesn't matter. Tanned, not tanned, waxed, not waxed, doesn't matter. The budgie is out. Budgies are out. Confidence is up, and they are strutting into whatever stadium they need to let everyone see the glory that is their budgie smugglers. I swear to God, you guys need to sponsor this fucking program. Please reply to an email. I have sent way too many to get a budgie smuggler sponsorship. The world needs to see Tom Lee and a full tilt budgie. All right. And I swear he'll do it.
What would it take to get you in a full tilt budgie?
Me?
Yes,
if
I need to know.
If they emailed me back, I would have that budgie on in no time. I am a retired professional wrestler. Do you think it would bother me at all to walk around in a Speedo? I did it in front of rooms full of people. All right. Does not bother me at all. I rolled around with sweaty men for money. All right. That's basically what professional wrestling is.
But what about when you're wrestling?
Yeah, well, John just tapped into my other career. My OnlyFans page is being brought up in discussion now, and I don't know how I feel about it. But
I think we fund the show.
Oh God! Hey, if we only got funding for the show that came out of an account that wasn't my bank account. Look, every week we all like to pick a player that we think is walking into the week with some extra confidence. Since Tom Lee is not here, I will read off Tom Lee's first, then we'll get Lucas's. We'll finish up with mine while John looks pretty and comments because, that's what he does. This week, Tom Lee thinks Courtland Sutton is walking through the door with an extra vote of confidence. Raiders matchup made me want to lean on Russ, but I don't trust the whole offense and staff. I do trust Sutton's volume in the absence of Judy, and if he can get that glorious touchdown, he's a top 24 wide receiver for me this week. We all know how much the Raiders are giving up to quarterbacks. The same can be said for their secondaries and wide receivers. Courtland Sutton with Jerry Jeudy and Hamler being out is Tom Lee's locked-in budgie smuggler of the week. Lucas, your budgie.
Oh gosh, I think we should almost rename this segment into the we pick on the Las Vegas Raiders pick of the week, because that's essentially what we've been doing. But to keep the theme going, some days you just feel like you don't got it.
It's true.
You look in the mirror, you go, "Gosh, what happened to me?
You pathetic piece of shit."
Wait, but people do
that? Well, thank you for that, Mr. John Arrington. But there are some days you look in the mirror and you go, "You know what? You best believe I still got this." And just like Taylor Swift, Russell Wilson is still bejeweled, and he can make the whole place shimmer. If you haven't listened, go listen to T-Swizzle. It's awesome. Ignore all the Ticketmaster stuff. But Russell Wilson is walking around in a bejeweled budgie smuggler this week. Bejeweled. All right.
Do that too.
Listen to the song. You can dance to it. You can shimmer. It's all good. All right. It's all fun. But he is going to be walking around strutting his stuff in his bejeweled budgie smuggler because the Las Vegas Raiders are 32nd in quarterback fantasy points. All right. I believe, Tom, you just did your too long didn't read for the chart porn article on Twitter,
It's true.
right?
Yep, absolutely.
Do you remember how much more fantasy points the Raiders are allowing to quarterbacks above replacement?
I believe it is 6.7 or 6.3 fantasy points above above expected.
And it's 2 whole points higher than the next closest team.
It's pretty bad.
The
Matt
Raiders
Ryan-
are hot garbage. Get ready for Russell Wilson to finally get back on track, to look like his old self. And man, he's going to shimmer. He's going to shimmer for you.
I need it. I need
Okay,
it.
I'm gonna have to go into Photoshop and now put him in a bedazzled budgie smuggler. I think that's gonna be the picture for this episode, because I think that's fucking hilarious.
That's wonderful.
That'd be so good. Look, I like to keep mine simple. Minimal analogies, but look, sometimes in a man's life, or anyone's life really, you think things are going just fine, and then all of a sudden, whop, 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 your knee gets blown out. It's gone. Your knee it's just toast. And everyone leaves you on the corner for dead. And then your team goes out and trades for an absolutely elite running back like Christian McCaffrey. Well, this is the story of Elijah Mitchell, who's had been injured, lost his job. I mean, they went out there and they took his job. And guess what? Bye week came and went. Didn't matter. Elijah Mitchell is my budgie smuggler this week. That man is rolling through with confidence like none other. His cojones, not only intact, but they have grown in size. He has needed a size up on his budgie. The Cardinals are the least efficient defense against running backs, giving up a league-high 119% receiving fantasy points over expected. That's going to be great for Christian McCaffrey. Phenomenal. He could go nuclear in the passing game. However, I believe the Cardinals are going to get absolutely bounced in this game. Mitchell outtouched and outgained Christian McCaffrey in his first game back off the bye. He posted an 87.3 rushing grade on PFF last week. Most importantly, he outtouched Christian McCaffrey in the fourth quarter. A lot of people say that they were ahead in that game, so that's why Mitchell was. Nah, they were not. They did not take the lead until the fourth quarter, and Mitchell went out there when they wanted to grind down the clock. If San Francisco has a lead, that 87.3 rushing grade against the Cardinals is going to mean muy bueno points. A 10-point fantasy day out of Mitchell in this injury-riddled bye-week nightmare is about as good as you can ask for out of a backup. He went 18 carries for 87 yards. If you give that to Elijah Mitchell against the Cardinals, along with his 2 to 3 goal line touches that he saw last week, 10 to 16 fantasy points for Elijah Mitchell will win you a week. So that man is feeling confident. He's looking to build off of it, and he's looking to keep Christian McCaffrey on the bench as the highest priced running back by committee ever takes the field in San Francisco. There you have it. There's the Budgie Smugglers, Courtland Sutton, Russell Wilson, Elijah Mitchell. And don't hear what I'm not saying. Look, I'm out there fighting against the people that were talking shit when I said that San Francisco is not the best landing spot for Christian McCaffrey. All right. I'm fighting those takes. And then guess what happened? The bye week happened when everyone said it was going to be a 90%. No, it wasn't. All right. There's variance. Accept it. I'm fighting it all off. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into a little bit of a trade discussion. We're going to combine Punish Atali and the Hard Yaka this week. It's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to it. Here's a clip from a couple episodes ago. Hope you enjoy. What would you sell Brady for today on a mediocre team? I think a single second.
Yeah,
I think you're happy. If someone offers you 2/3, are you yeeting Brady off your team?
Yes. It depends on my team. If I'm
saying on a mediocre to bad. Like mediocre to, you're not selling Brady if you're.
I don't think I would sell
if
for
I'm not going to
2/3.
the playoffs, yeah.
I don't think I'd sell for 2/3 today, but it depends on reading your league. Like, I don't know. I guess to me, it's a gamble, right? It's a matter of like, what do I think I can get in your league, and then what do I have to take a trade deadline, right? So it's like, do I think that I would want to push for a 2? I'd want to maybe do Brady and a 3 for a 2 or something like that. If you're asking me this question the day of your trade deadline, obviously you take 2/3.
Yeah, Brady's tough, man. Brady, Rodgers, Stafford, all guys impossible to really get a gauge on their value on. And that's one thing we're going to talk about today. Obviously, trade deadlines, some have happened already, some are coming up. Some leagues don't have trade deadlines, and I think you're all psychopaths for that. Even though the Full Tilt Dynasty Invitational has no trade deadline. So I don't know how that ended up happening with how I feel about no trade deadline leagues, but there you go. It happened.
That was one of the first things that we ever talked about on the midweek tilt pod. Was your disdain for a lack of a trade deadline, and how I feel, and correctly so, that there should never be a trade deadline in any dynasty league ever.
Cap. That's full cap.
It's
like I don't understand. I don't understand how you could just like, oh yeah, no need. Like it creates so many.
If people, if your excuse or if your argument is, oh, but then people are going to collude, people are going to cheat, then you have bad owners in your league.
Absolutely. But my biggest problem with not having a trade deadline is that I feel like it actually hurts more people in the middle than it helps. Because when do you make that push? Like when do you like? I feel like for people who are maybe I say this because of people like me. I am in 50 dynasty leagues. So for me, I like to know where I have a contender, a rebuild, a tear down, I'm not going to look at this for 2 years because it's a process. Like teams in those different categories, I like having a time cutoff. Like, okay, by this week, I can eat all, and then I can focus on all of this. So for me, being a middling team, if you're a team that's already bad, like already looking forward to next year, then the no trade deadline doesn't hurt you at all. It might help you if like a Paris Campbell, you manage to trade a Paris Campbell for a third in like week 16 because somebody needs it, right? In that aspect, I get it. But what's the real advantage? You can hose somebody completely for a middling Aaron Jones for like a first plus. Like I don't. I
actually see it the other way around, because usually what ends up happening at least in the leagues that I'm in that don't have a trade deadline is somebody gets hurt, because injuries don't stop just because we're in the fantasy playoffs. And so, like look at what, like think how strong the Cooper Kupp teams have been, and now he's gone. And if you had a trade deadline that was like, no, I mean, this is a little early for a trade deadline for in a dynasty league.
You got like 4 weeks until
yeah. So but it's not like it's going to be the last injury or the last issue or anything like that. So
sure.
If you're feeling really good about your team and then you have like 1 or 2 major injuries, then all of a sudden you're like, well, shit, what do I do now? And you go trade. But the thing is, when the rebuilding teams are like, all right, I have Tom Brady, or I have this insert wide receiver A here. And they go, okay, well, now you're going to pay a tax. Like the competing teams are the ones that get screwed, but they do it and they're fine with it because they're like, I'm going to go win this ship. And so they don't care that they're getting screwed. They go all in. They overpay for these players. It actually helps the rebuilding teams more than if you had a week 12 trade deadline and the rebuilding teams are like, all right, well, I guess Jacob just said it in that little clip. Well, I guess you got to take 2/3 because your trade deadline. Well, like, no, I don't want to take 2/3 for Tom Brady. I want the second.
But but here's the problem. All right. If someone's not paying you a second for Tom Brady in like week 14, the chances that he's going to pay you a second in week 16 is almost zero. And if at some point, if you're this contending team, if Cooper Kupp is the reason you won't win a championship, you weren't a favorite. Like you weren't a contender.
I don't know. Have you seen what Cooper Kupp was doing this year?
Yeah, he's on many of my rosters that I'm thankful are built well enough that I can either move him for replacement plus or whatever if you really want to win it. I think if one player ends your season, then I don't think you were that big of a contender. I think that there are exceptions to the rule, like the crazy Austin Eckler year, the Lamar Jackson year, the Christian McCaffrey year, which is the same year, but whatever. I think that there are last year's Cooper Kupp. There could be some exceptions, but for the most part, if one player is doing it, I don't think you're a real contender. And
yeah, I tend to agree with that. Should have been,
like, I don't know how else to phrase this other than I think having a trade deadline forces you to be a more complete manager. I just can't.
And that might be true. I mean, it forces you to have more conviction. You have to have conviction. Am I rebuilding or am I all in?
Yes.
Like that kind of thing. I get it. It's just that. It's just that it's not what you should do, because you should not have a trade deadline. And bringing it back to Brady. I actually traded Brady in a league today, and I got a 23 first back. I also traded away a lot of other stuff too.
Okay.
No, in a 2 tight end league, so you have to start 2 tight ends.
Oh, that's playing in a 2 tight end league.
Well, yeah, trust me, it was a mistake. I took over an orphan, and it was a mistake. But in a 2 tight end league with tight end premium, I traded away Tom Brady, Gabe Davis, and Mike Williams, and I got a 23 first and Trey McBride back. And I'm like, you know what? I'm fine with it, because none of those players, like especially Brady, I mean, Brady's dead, but Williams can't stay on the field, and he doesn't really do anything. He's so inconsistent. And obviously we know Gabe Davis is like the epitome of inconsistent. I'm like, please just let me get new players with the 23 first. And I love Trey McBride. I know it hasn't all worked out great, but in a 2 tight end premium league, tight ends are like gold if they actually can do anything. And McBride's a stud.
Sir, Mike Williams is averaging 14.9 points per game. So he doesn't do anything. That's kind of a stretch.
I said he's very inconsistent.
He's very inconsistent. My favorite part about the whole Gabe Davis discourse is that Mike Williams did it already. We're just repeating the process with Mike Williams, and I think that's kind of funny. Although I think Mike Williams is better. So hey, that brings us into a great point with trades, and I really can't wait for this. So this is how this is gonna work. Usually when we do the hard Yaka, especially when we do the hard Yaka or we do Punish Atali, we sit here and we each have there are these players and there's that player and there's that. We're not fucking doing that today. This is going to be a completely different type of episode. We are going to essentially end up just round tabling this thing. So I'm going to kick this whole thing off with something that it's kind of midweek tilt style. So because John's here, we're going to do this kind of midweek tilt style. None of us know what we're going to talk about. So every reaction you get, everything, it's 100% coming to you from right here, front of the mind. All right. This has been bothering me a lot for a couple of years.
Oh no.
The quarterback value fallacy drives me fucking crazy. The idea that you must spend high on a certain couple of quarterbacks because they, quote, are locked in dynasty values is fucking mind-blowing to me. And there's been no other year like that, I feel like, than this year. Quarterback play this year is so up and down. It's crazy. It has me, okay, this guy, I've turned on Lamar Jackson a little bit. And I say that in a very specific way because I see John's head perk up as soon as I said that. And I just want to point this out. I've been talking about this in the Full Tilt Discord. I mentioned on the show, I got absolutely roasted by Billy and Jacob. But since Lamar Jackson's back-to-back 40-point weeks, he has been a middling back-end QB1 to QB2. And I have said before, until something changes, that this is going to happen. I want to go back and look at a trade that I made with one Jacob Sanderson, whose name was changed from @FF_RTDB. A trade that I made on a very much so contending team that got a little bit roasted, but it just goes to show you what happens with the perception of quarterback value. On a contending team that was undefeated until last week, I traded Alvin Kamara, Lamar Jackson, and a 24 second. I received Kirk Cousins, Treylon Burks, a 23-1 and a 24-1. And when that trade was done, I got dragged. Absolutely cannot believe you traded Lamar. And then, of course, Alvin Kamara goes off. That one 40-point game he had just absolutely tears it up. And now I'm looking like a sad boy. But even some of these rushing quarterbacks at times have replacement value as well. And I was saying, you can go and you can trade Lamar Jackson for Justin Fields plus before Justin Fields took off. Now, I mean, even if you go to our friends over at Keep Trade Cut, Lamar Jackson still ranked higher than Justin Fields. So you might be able to still do something like that. John shaking his head because he hates Lamar Jackson as a person.
No, you're finally just coming to my level. You're realizing that he was overrated.
No. Here's the thing: he's not. What Lamar Jackson
he extremely is.
What Lamar Jackson brings to the table at any given week,
he's mid as fuck.
He's definitely not mid. What he can bring you at any given week is league winning. Sure, I think that his situation absolutely blows. I think I've said that. I cannot state that enough with how they have Greg Roman getting
is the
credit.
Situation him not being as good as people think he is?
All right. First off, sir, he's throwing to DeMarcus Robinson, the ghost of Deshaun Jackson.
What about when he was throwing to Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews?
He was very fucking good, putting up 40 points.
No, all right. So he had 2 weeks with 40 points,
healthy players. Yeah,
and he had a 12% touchdown rate. Like, it was never going to continue. It was the definition of unsustainable, basically. And then guess what? I'm screaming, people are like, he's going to be the MVP again. This is going to be an amazing season. I'm screaming regression, and guess what happened? He regressed back to mid.
He's still the QB5 in points per game. So
yes, because of those 2 weeks.
But
you said, he's done nothing since then. You'd rather have Marcus Mariota in your starting position than Lamar Jackson.
See, that I would never say, because.
But I mean, if you're actually looking at points and trying to win games, you would rather have Marcus Mariota in your starting position right now than Lamar Jackson, the way he's playing.
I don't think. Well. Okay, no, because I don't think Marcus Mariota at any point can outright just win you a week by existing. So there's that.
I just mean he's scoring more points. That's all I'm saying.
No, is he really? Hold on.
On a weekly basis. If you take away besides those 2 weeks,
let's take away his great games.
And I'm not saying take away the games. I'm saying since that time, you would rather have had Marcus Mariota in your starting position rather than Lamar Jackson.
Right, but that's why we play Dynasty, not redraft, though. But that's what leads me to my point, though, is that if you're sitting at a trade deadline like you are right now, no player should be off the table.
I completely agree.
There should be. Holy shit, that's 2 in one program. Lucas, you're clipping, so you got to get these ready. I don't think any player should be off the table. Mm-hmm. So when I say you can move a player like Lamar Jackson for semi-replacement, because we don't know if it's going to turn around, that might come back and bite me in the ass because maybe he goes to, I don't know, let's say the Giants with a guy like Dabble or somewhere absolutely phenomenal where Greg Roman's not around. Because that dude fucking hinders that team so much. Just, oh my God. You ever watch the Baltimore Ravens run a crossing concept? They have a receiver and they're like, this is the target for the game. And then you look, they do the overhead shot and 3 wide receivers and a tight end are all standing within a yard of each other. And you're like, why? Fucking why? It blows my mind. Anyway, this isn't going to be a 3-hour-long Greg Roman shitfest. Anyway, but I think that I just want to list off a couple of players, all right, that I think are movable at this point that can still help you win a league while expanding. And this will help someone like John who thinks that a no trade deadline is the way to go because it piles up your assets. It allows you to be more flexible. You can be more water, right? You have liquid assets, and we like that. I think Jalen Hurts, I think Lamar Jackson, I think Kyler Murray, all yeetable.
But I feel like Kyler Murray is frowned upon right now, which he's
an absolute bias.
Which is weird. People are like, "Oh, Kyler Murray sucks now," and they don't want to pay up for him. But yet, he's outproducing Lamar Jackson, and yet people will still be like, "Oh yeah, Lamar Jackson MVP."
So who are you moving these people for? Because you're bringing up these names, and whenever we're talking about, we can't ignore the fact that they can win you weeks. I understand that you can find that baseline value at other quarterbacks. Like Kirk Cousins is gross to talk about, but he's having a decent year. He has a very solid baseline. He's not making your team lose, but he's also not giving you those weeks to where he makes up for deficiencies on other parts of your roster.
Sure.
And so that's just something that kind of concerns me. It's whenever I think about my teams that have usually won it all, it's because there's that one player, no matter position, who can go out and win you those weeks. And I think that as long as you're getting those players to fill in for that sort of baseline, just whatever the position may be, quarterback is really tough this year. But as long as you have those players, then that's what helps you out the most. Like if I'm on a contending team, I want Lamar Jackson.
Sure.
Like, if I truly feel like that's
okay, that's a good one. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. Okay. Here's one for you: Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, a first, and I don't know, insert Gabe Davis. Who would you rather have?
Right now, Lamar Jackson.
See, I disagree. So
wait, you're saying Lamar Jackson versus Trevor Lawrence, a first and a player?
Yes.
You think you can get all that?
Dude, yes. Lamar Jackson's a 3x1 player. Like he has been forever.
Maybe after week 3.
No,
I mean, just dynasty values change so quickly, man. I just don't know. Like I agree with you after week 3, but now
the market, and that's what I said. But the market still shows that Lamar Jackson is still rated as a top 5 dynasty quarterback. For whatever your personal preference, at this point, I'm eating personal preference out the window. Okay? At that point, I don't care about that. What I care about is net market value. That's what matters. And whether you want to go to DLF, whatever you want to go to Keep Trade Cut, whatever you use, whatever Discord you use, if you want to use Fantasy Points, shout out Fantasy Points Media Group, powering this program. If you want to, which you should be going to Fantasy Points. If you want to use Dynasty Nerds, if you want to use whatever market you want to use, Lamar Jackson is there. He's in that top 5. He just is. One thing Billy at Big Billy FF, co-host of the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, mentioned, all it takes is one season to have that player's value burned in people's memories. And maybe that's happened with Lamar Jackson, even though he was on pace. He was still on pace last year before Hollywood Brown went out and then he got hurt. I think he was the QB5 on the year or some shit. He can do it, but the situation doesn't have to be perfect. Awesome. Look what happened with Tua this year. What happened with Tua this year? Tua's value was down in the dumps, and now he's skyrocketed in overall value this year. And Jacob is someone that's kind of instilled this confidence in guys like Trevor Lawrence for that. So yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence provides you with a decent enough return, and we're still playing Dynasty. We're not playing redraft. Your goal is, yes, to win a championship, but your goal is not to win one. Your goal is to be right there every year and move minor pieces to get you over the hump to potentially win it all. I don't think there's such thing as selling out to win a championship. So if you're talking about like a Kyler Murray, a Lamar Jackson, as I mentioned, a Jalen Hurts in these leagues, yeah, absolutely. Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Tua, Kirk Cousins with multiple first-round picks on top. Oh my God, I'm just eating it up. And as I mentioned at the top of this whole thing, I proved it by going and doing it 4 weeks ago.
Right. That's the only thing is I just wonder if the timing's not right now because you could take advantage of it earlier in the season because Justin Fields hadn't broken out yet. I traded away.
Well, yeah, Fields is untouchable at this point. Like you're not getting Fields right now.
I traded Zach Wilson when during the offseason when he was the MILF hunter and everyone was like falling in love with him. I traded Zach Wilson for Tua and Jacoby Myers. And then the same guy came back to me once Wilson got hurt and was like, hey, I want to get Tua back. And so I traded him Tua for Justin Fields and Marquise Brown. And now he literally came back to me this past week and said, hey, can I get Justin Fields from you? And I was like, first of all, dude, I'm right next to you in the standings. Like we're both in the playoffs. So why do you think I'm going to give you Justin Fields? But more importantly, like you can't afford Justin Fields right now.
You need to save that manager from
that's
himself.
The kind of thing. And not to say that I wouldn't sell him because I would. And I told him I'm always 100% honest. Like I just say he's going to be very expensive. I have no issues trading Justin Fields right now, but he's going to be very expensive because it's not just the last 2 weeks with all the rushing. I have loved Justin Fields since he was a senior in college when I really truly started like diving into Devy values and that kind of stuff. I had Justin Fields as I had Justin Fields as my QB1 in the class, and I still do. So it's not even that there was a reason why I traded for Justin Fields, even though I thought Tua was gonna to be good, but that was earlier in the season. before all these breakouts, I feel like it's a lot more difficult to trade a Lamar and get that kind of return. You're not going to get Trevor Lawrence a first and Gabe Davis. Like that just seems. I mean, if you can, like listeners, send us a screenshot, like show us that you can. I don't think you can do that right now.
Yeah, I will say this: if I'm on a contending team, like if I feel like I have a real shot at the championship, that's the kind of deal I'm looking for. If I want that advantage at the quarterback position, I want to go out there, get the guys who can win a week, and if I'm giving up a quarterback who he would be replacing, plus a first, which if I'm competing shouldn't be that early, you're missing. Like if I had a chance to get Bijan Robinson with that one, I'm not moving it, but moving a later first plus Gabe Davis, who if you're on a contending team, you should be able to replace with somebody on your roster. That's the kind of deals I'm going after. So if you could take advantage of me in that deal, if that's what you were wanting, if you had Lamar Jackson, that's the kind of deal I'd be looking at trying to go get him.
It's not like at that point, John, if you really think that Lamar Jackson's value is so low that you wouldn't be able to get a lower ranked quarterback at market value, a one in a player, that should mean he's a screaming buy at this point. Because because that's what you're getting on a market value quarterback at top 5, like for sure. We have a question here from Ray Gamer. Shout out to Ray over there on the YouTubes. Start 2 in standard. I'm already lost, John. This is going to be more of a you question. I play nothing but PPR. Patterson versus the Bears, Tony versus the Chargers, Boyd versus the Steelers, or Debo versus the Cardinals need big help. Juju and Hardman are out. Starting quarterback for the Steelers out. Will Patterson gets more involved versus Bears. Or Will Patterson. Oh my God, Will Patterson. Not his name isn't Will Patterson. Jesus Christ. As of now, I have Tony and Boyd in. All these guys could do good. I'm gonna leave this to John because I don't play standard. I have no idea. I think it's just touchdowns.
I don't either, but like I automatically throw away Patterson, especially in a standard league. And then like I do not like Kadarius Toney, but with the context of the situation, I feel like I probably would go with Toney and Boyd there. Obviously in the matchup with Chase still being out, Boyd is probably going to have a decent game. And we talked about it whether we were recording or not, but like Debo scares the shit out of me right now, man. It's just I get that it's like a decent matchup and everything, but man, he scares me right now.
I think with standard, it comes down to the touchdown. So here's what I'll say to you, Ray. When I do the start and sit show with Chase Vernon at Fantasy Intervention every Sunday, I always say the same thing. It depends on your risk tolerance. If you're looking at your week and you can be like, I can take a 0, then you can play the bigger game potential, which I think is Tony and Boyd, is Tony and Debo. But if you don't want to completely phone it in, then you can play a guy like Boyd, but I would play one of either Tony or Debo. My 2 picks would be Tony and Boyd, and I would leave Debo out, but I would leave one of those mega explosive players in that lineup and just roll with Tyler Boyd in there no matter what, and I would just yeet Patterson. But it comes down to your risk tolerance.
We've seen Boyd have a multi-touchdown game already this season.
Absolutely.
He definitely has the upside there. I can't picture Debo having a multi-touchdown game anymore with CMC there. Like, I really feel like it would take an injury at this point because it's going to be Elijah Mitchell, CMC, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. Like, one of those players is going to take away.
Dead.
Oh, I know Kittle's dead, but he can still score a touchdown every once in a while. Like I've always been out on Kittle. Like that, I literally have a hashtag that I created that says "Never Kittle." But like But man, I just don't see a multi-touchdown game. And like you said, when in a standard league, you're looking for multi-touchdowns. So
yeah, I think you're looking for
you're looking
play.
for touchdowns. I mean,
you're looking for the big play, and Debo can definitely give you that, a broken tackler too. But I'm not 100% for sure right now, but I'm pretty sure Debo is about to get shadowed by Byron Murphy by the Cardinals if he plays, and that's why I would go with Tony because it's still a Patrick Mahomes offense, right? And Tony's just good, man. Like for all the shit he took in the process and the Giants trading back and then getting Tony and all the shit. And then all the young Joka and the bitter old men complaining that he has a life outside of football and then getting traded and his hamstrings magically healing, whatever you want to use. The guy's just sick at football. Like he's just fucking good. So I would definitely play Tony and I would play Tyler Boyd. Lucas, anything different?
I mean, I think you kind of nailed it right on the head. Yeah. I would love to see the 49ers run like some sort of hurry up offense because they have so many good players. I just want to see them get as many opportunities as possible, and they're all just cannibalizing each other, and it makes me sad.
Oh yeah, it's big.
That's
sad.
okay.
Big sad panda over there a little bit in 49ers land. But no. Don't worry. It's going to be 40-point games from McCaffrey every week. Get out of here with that. Most expensive our running back by committee ever. I'm really glad I got to fight back with that one. I quote tweeted someone for the first time in like my life as like a fire back on a take that I got dragged for, and it felt really good. Figured I'd get that out of the way before Twitter dies. Oh my God, I'm still so depressed about that. Let's talk about the next stage in this trade discussion where I really feel like it's going. I don't think there's such thing as going in to like lock in a championship. I think that is a myth in situations where there's a trade deadline because we're normal people. We're not psychos, John. We don't have panhandle Florida behavior over here. So we play with trade deadline.
I am not in the panhandle. Let's not disparage.
John's very much in non-panhandle Florida.
I'm not. I'm in Beach, Florida.
I'm only in Beach, Florida, whatever.
Of course.
As I have a blizzard coming down for 2 days over here where I'm at. That's real great.
I know. It was almost 50 today. It was getting cold.
Fuck yourself. I cannot wait. I'm just gonna send you a plane ticket one day to come out here in like February and watch you take like 2 steps and be like, fuck this shit, I'm out, and just head right back home. There's no way you're staying for that, but I'm gonna invite you for the holidays one year and you're coming. I'm gonna get TV. It'll be a great time.
Hell yeah.
I don't think. Oh my God, Lucas, can you take care of that?
I got that.
I don't think there's such thing as going all in for a championship. Look, I say this because last year I traded for Derrick Henry. Now, John, I know you are the Derrick Henry guy.
It's always
and I cursed him. I cursed him last year. I traded for him for the first time in my life.
So you're the reason why I am the reason why all my leagues ended up sucking.
And if you traded 2 firsts for Derrick Henry last year because that was the last piece you needed, it crushed you. It crushed you in the sense that you didn't have liquid assets. It crushed you in the sense that Derrick Henry's value absolutely plummeted even further than when it did, which made him a buy low, which I actually kind of like. I managed to acquire some Derrick Henry for like one single first.
His value just completely bottomed out this offseason. It was so easy to get him. I did quite a few startups this year, and I was getting him in like the 7th round of these like startups, in Dynasty startups, and I'm like, guys, it's still Derrick Henry. Like I get he's old.
He's climbed 13 spots in the keep trade cut standings right now to be RB12, which I think is too high for him, even at this point, even with how good he is. I don't want to roster a running back like that if I can help it. But if you bought him low, I think that he's a great piece. But I just wanted to mention that I don't think there's such thing as like a locked-in guaranteed.
Of course, you still have to have some luck, and there was a guy I got into a big argument with in one of my startups. And he just went completely top heavy, Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen,
love it.
Like a couple other like stud players. I forget, like CMC, I think it was. But he had no depth whatsoever. Like literally, you start 12 spots, like starting positions in that league, and he was starting Isaiah McKenzie and Nick Westbrook-Akine and stuff like that in his flex spots. And I'm like, dude, you're not going to do anything this year. Your team's going to suck. And he's like, look at these players. I have CMC and whatever, and we're going back and forth making these art. And I'm sitting there, like, I played this game too long, and I know, I'm sorry, but injuries are going to happen, bye weeks are going to happen, and your team is going to suck. Well, I was wrong. His team has been amazing. He has not lost a single player. Like, everyone's healthy. Everything's great. And he is in first place. And so, like, it just shows you, it goes to show, like, there, you can have the best team on paper and think that you're going all in, and then you get like 2 or 3 major injuries, and you're like, well, wait, my team sucks. Yep. Or you can be this guy and be the luckiest motherfucker in the history of the world, and you can just dominate. Well, now of course I think he did. No, he didn't have Cup. Never mind. He had Josh Allen and J. Jeff. So, like, he's still fine. He's still the luckiest person ever.
What up, Nicholas? We got Nicholas Hartley coming in from YouTube. Hope you're hitting that subscribe button over at the Full Tilt Pod Network. Hope you're having a good Friday night, man. And I think that's what it is. We're doing well, thank you. We're doing real well. Having a good little chat here, if you would. I just think so. The Full Tilt legal record. I was absolutely crushed in the finals by Billy, because I thought I had this thing locked in. It was whatever, and it was one lineup decision. I sat Derek Carr, who pulled his taint in week 15, and I played Stafford, and then Stafford twisted his ankle, and I lost by, and I kid you not, exactly what Carr's output was that week. I lost by just like under that. I would have won that week, and that was the championship. So you can have all the good players you want, but you still have to make a lineup decision and player decisions. Great night. I just traded Amon-Ra for Dameon Pierce. It hurt, but I was stacked at wide receiver.
I'm assuming this is redraft.
I'm so sorry if you did that.
If
Nicholas,
it's redraft, then I guess I'm okay with it.
I would like you to stay subscribed, but I don't like that deal.
I think in redraft, like, it's fine. I think you're going for a safer move there, because Amon-Ra, he's at his best, he's a freaking top 6 wide receiver in terms of fantasy this season. But he's had so many games where, unfortunately, he hasn't been him. I think that he's had 3 or 4 in the last 5 weeks where he has scored under 10 fantasy points in PPR leagues. That really hurts. And Dameon Pierce, he does have a tougher schedule coming up.
RB 18, RB 13, RB 20, RB 18 over his last 4.
I mean, like I'm saying, yeah, full redraft, no keeper.
Okay, all right. So I'm okay with it.
You scared me, Nicholas. You got to be quick. All right, you got to be quick on the typing, because you almost gave. I'm losing heart palpitations over here.
So I'm fine with that, especially like if you need RB help. That's a fine deal. I would have loved to have seen you try to get just a little bit more than Dameon Pierce. Look for somebody who has a more favorable schedule, but that's fine. Like you can survive with that.
Yeah, but in redraft, not to say that you don't want to get like enough back or whatever, but like it's not going to kill him or anything like that.
No, correct.
And if he's Studley, and Leonard Fournette is not healthy, he's on a bye, and he's possibly being replaced by Rachaad White.
Oh, so, no, he's not.
Rachaad White is literally the starter.
Have that same energy, the same love people had for that Rachaad White performance. I better fucking see it for Isaiah Pacheco, because Pacheco did the same thing.
Pacheco is not good. Pacheco is not good, and he's not a receiving back.
Shush. Oh, Rachaad White was such a receiving back. They had 22 touches with no targets in that game. No targets. Leonard Fournette is the 3rd most receptions in the NFL at running back. He's not losing his.
I love Leonard Fournette. But I also love Rachaad White. I'm just saying there is a chance, and he's not healthy, and he's on a bye. So I like the trade now. I'm fine with it.
I'm just saying that the Leonard Fournette, Rachaad White situation. If you were that excited about Rachaad White's performance, then you should be excited about Pacheco's 16 carries for 80 some yards in the Chiefs offense, because they both have receiving chops in college. They do. They both do. They both can do it. One team refuses to let their running back catches the ball if he runs the ball, which drives me nuts. But another team has a running back that Brady just loves to dump it down to. So I don't think Rachaad White's taking the important work away from Fournette, which will be the goal line, the 2-minute drill, that PPR spam.
Right.
That's what's going to matter.
The difference is Rachaad White's actually a good running back, whereas Isaiah Pacheco is how do you say, not?
I mean, you say that, but we'll see.
He's literally Rojo. Like, he's a younger version of Rojo. That's all Pacheco is.
Yeah, but he does have receipt. Like, if Jerick McKinnon got hurt, Isaiah Pacheco's catching the football, not Clyde.
No, I don't believe that for a second.
Oh, 100. I can't wait. Hopefully that doesn't happen, because I am embarrassed to say how much Jerick McKinnon I play every week. But
I actually like McKinnon as a play this week.
I think I'm gonna play in every week because he's just gonna catch the football. That's all I give a shit about.
Back to the question we're trying to answer here. Can you go all in for a championship? I think that you can make calculated moves to help your chances, but you don't need to be going after the short-term assets. You still need to be going after the assets that you would want even going into next year and to actually spend up to get those things. Like, don't go out and Derrick Henry, at times he's the best running back in the NFL. Right, he has more risk. We don't know whether he's going to actually, tank. But if you're going to go that route, then go and get someone like Aaron Jones who doesn't cost near as much, or actually go spend up and get one of these nice young elite running backs to go in and try to fill. Because if you're willing to spend, actually freaking go all the way in. Don't try to get a cheap version or cheap production for a couple weeks.
That's hard to say. That's hard to say though, right? So you look at a running back like Nicholas Chubb. We love Nicholas Chubb. Nicholas Chubb, phenomenal player, great player. In 2020, if you were like, all I need is Nicholas Chubb, that's it, I'm in. Well, in weeks 15 and 16, he was the RB21. In 14, he was the RB7, which was phenomenal. And then he was the RB21 in the first week of the playoffs, which there's no guarantee that these elite players are going to show out at that point. There's absolutely no guarantee for it. So I think that I am more willing to acquire smaller pieces to try to make that push than give up any elite piece. And I think that I'll stick with that no matter what. I would rather go and spend a second on Jeff Wilson Jr. this year than I would rather go spend a first and a second to go get Nick Chubb.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, but I think you can go get a player like a Garrett Wilson, who, is kind of like, people are really starting to fall in love with them, but maybe not everyone's fully on board yet. But he has a really good matchup or really good matchups in the playoffs. So you're buying an extremely young, very talented player who could help you this year, but is also going to help you for years to come. So you're not hurting your team, rather than going and paying like a first for a Fournette or, a Nick Chubb or whatever. Like, go trade. You can still trade your first, do that, but like trade it for a young, viable player that's still going to help you this year. And Garrett Wilson's just like one example, but like there's plenty of players that you can go get right now that will help you this year, but will also help you in future years.
It's one of those things where I would, even on a contending team, I'm just the type of person that I'm just trying to maximize my long-term value output as much as I can. Because I don't have teams. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that all my teams, we're locked in for the future. Like I'm not going to tell you that. Because I've got bad ones out there. It happens. It exists.
Trust me, I'm in a league with you. I know. I see you in 11th place. So
dang. Doing that shit on purpose. All right. That's the difference.
It's true. He drafted, I want to say like the best running back he drafted was like probably Pacheco or something like that.
No, I think what was that? That's Dead Presidents, right?
Yeah,
The best running back I drafted was JD McKissick. Yeah,
Stud.
So we're punting. All right, I got
easy.
multiple,
We'll get to your question.
I got multiple firsts. All right, let's just take it easy there, QB boy. How well is moving those quarterbacks for value working for you?
I haven't moved them at all, but I can guarantee I've played every single one of them.
All right, after we answer this question, I have a question for you.
Tony, Curtis Samuel, or
DJ Moore easily.
I'm assuming this is a PPR question, and that means it's not DJ Moore.
It's easily DJ Moore.
I'd rather play Kadarius Toney because both of them can put up 4 points. All right, one of them is more likely to score a touchdown, and his name's Kadarius Toney. Baker Mayfield has been the worst possible thing imaginable for DJ Moore. Worse than what Sam Darnold was. That's not even disputable. That's fucking fact. Fact.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
Everything.
I'll pull it up.
Everything changed after they got rid of Matt Rule, and yet unfortunately Baker got hurt, and so he hasn't been able to play except for the half that he played, where he was 1,000 times better than PJ Walker.
Or DJ Moore though? No, absolutely not. Better for Terrace Marshall, not the guy that he needed.
Who were they playing though? Because I'm pretty sure that they were playing against a pretty good defense, and DJ Moore was being bracketed there. So I'm just saying, it's
13, DJ. 21, 26, 28.
I miss him going up against the Falcons.
Yeah, with PJ
Oh.
Walker.
But then he went up against the Falcons last weekend.
Here's-
He wrecked me. I'm sad.
Here's
I'm still
Clamped.
doing
PJ
Tony.
Walker wrecked you.
Clamped. I'll say this, and for every start and sit question that I answer, and hopefully hit the notification bell, all that stuff. We'd love to answer all your questions. We put out a ton of content. Leave a comment. We'll reply. One of us will anyway. I want to always take my risk tolerance into account for things like this. I think Curtis Samuel is a very safe play. I think Curtis Samuel has
He's
been.
going up against Houston, though.
Yeah,
And
I
they're
don't
third
care.
against wide receivers. And he has Heineke,
slot?
who loves... What?
But that's the thing. If they're good against outside wide receivers, and Taylor Heineke loves throwing to Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel's there. If it's a PPR format, you want safe. Samuel's not a bad play. So I'll take that. I'd
He's
rather
not
have
seeing the targets.
I would rather have DJ Moore over Curtis. Can you let me finish my fucking thoughts, Lucas? Jesus H. Christ. You are so fired. Oh my God. So Curtis Samuel, I understand if you want like an absolute safety, we'll call it a triple bagger. All right. You're going to wrap it 3 times. That's Curtis Samuel. You want to wrap it twice and go wild? That's DJ Moore. Because if John actually believes that Baker Mayfield is still good somehow in like some weird alternate universe, upside down realm, Stranger Things-esque way.
I think he's better than PJ Walker. I can guarantee you
Fair.
that.
But better than PJ Walker for DJ Moore is all that matters in this situation. And
I
so
think we
far,
saw
that
the
hasn't-
offense change once Rule left or
I hope
was
so.
fired.
I hope
And yet we haven't really truly seen Baker in the offense since then. So I
Yeah,
get
I
that
hope-
it all looked terrible, but the whole freaking team, the whole offense, the whole everything was terrible. And
It's
just real,
how
I mean,
many different offenses is it going to take? Like that, Baker Mayfield needs whatever that rookie year shit was. That's what he needs because everything he's done since then has been doggy do. So
And,
I want him to be good for DJ Moore, and so does Clamped. The reason
DJ Moore is my wide receiver 21 on the week. Curtis Samuel's my wide receiver 29, and Kadarius Toney is my wide receiver 34.
Yeah, I
So-
think you're absolutely batshit crazy for having Tony that low. I think you're insane.
I think it's just the risk tolerance there, like you were saying.
That's
Tony
exactly what I'm
definitely
talking
has
about.
the widest range of possibilities, but
It-
yeah, to me
here's
it's
the
definitely not
situation.
cursed.
All three of these guys can score you 4 points. It's just factual.
Sure.
All 3 of them can score you 4
Sure.
points. What guy can score 25?
DJ Moore.
Absolutely the fuck not. Absolutely not.
He is easily
saying
the
it's
best
not-
player.
That does not matter. That
It
does
does.
not matter all the time. Being the best player doesn't mean shit. If only being the best player mattered, DJ Moore would be a top 5 wide receiver every week because he is a phenomenal player. That does not matter. What matters is that Patrick Mahomes is throwing Kadarius Toney the ball. They're down 2 to 3 options on that team. They are in the game that has the highest pace of play according to Graham Barfield's pace of play metrics. The plays are going to be there. The offense is going to be there. I want the opportunity to score at least a touchdown because whoever scores a touchdown on this list wins. I want the guy that could potentially score 2 touchdowns. That's Kadarius Toney. You know, I know that DJ Moore scored 2 touchdowns like twice in his career, both against the Falcons. It's just that's the only time it happens. And he scores 4 on the season. Curtis Samuel is still just Curtis Samuel, like Lucas said. Wentz isn't playing. Kadarius Toney is the only one out of these 3 that I feel like can really just powerhouse you through the week, and they can all score you 4 points. So for me, if your risk tolerance is able to stomach a 0 for a potential 20, play Kadarius Toney.
Where's Kansas City lining Tony up right now? Like, because honestly, I don't know. He's really fresh. I haven't seen what the actual data is with where he's being
Not
lined
going
up.
to have a choice but to line him up and it's just somewhere where they can target him. They don't have a choice.
Yeah, they really don't.
Justin Watson or Kadarius Toney. We've seen what Sky Moore does, which is ghost everyone, which makes me horrendously sad.
Sadly,
But
hours.
It's also hilarious.
Kadarius Toney played not a lot of snaps, but was still targeted and still scored. So
Remember when people were drafting Sky Moore at like 105?
Sky Moore should have. Well,
108.
105 was nuts.
Anywhere in the first was
every
nuts.
single time.
108 was elite. John, now you're just being
No, anywhere in the first was
hit.
nuts.
I can't wait for him to hit in like a year, and I can lay claim to your thing being bullshit. But as I will continue to chip away at that.
All right, this is a trade pod, though.
But yeah, well, I can't wait for the off season. Oh, I can't fucking wait. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Hopefully, people still listen after this episode. But I would pick Tony, man.
Hey, you invited me. Just remember.
It's true. I loved it. It's great. Look, we're at an hour 5, and I think that people have had enough of us yelling at each other. So shout out to everyone watching and listening. Head over to the Full Tilt Podcast Network over on the YouTubes. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification button. Leave us some comments. Look, I like to always say the same thing, right? Which is, if you want to hear something that you're not hearing now, you let us know. If there's something that you feel like we are missing and we're not hitting, guess what? We'll make that happen. We will do that. I'd like to go around the horn here, get a final thought from everyone before we sign off. I'll start with you, Lucas.
Well, we just got a question in the comments.
Right.
Just got an offer in PPR. I receive Amon-Ra and Drake and give up Najee and DPJ. Yes, absolutely. 1,000%. I can't believe somebody's paying that much for Najee Harris.
Yeah, that's the easiest choice ever.
Smash. I will say this. I bought my first Najee Harris share ever, and I traded DJ Moore to do it. So,
that's disgusting. I
have a 53% rostership of DJ Moore across 50 Dynasty leagues. All right, I need to get rid of him. All right, and I had like a 0.03 or whatever. I had one other share of Najee. So I'm just saying, sometimes there's a time and a place to acquire Najee Harris. But Jacob, absolutely take Amon-Ra and Kenyon Drake. Phenomenal. Although I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is good. I want to see what happens when Deshaun gets back with Cooper. Although I still think Cooper sucks. Also, Jacob, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button.
Get into our Discord. Also, there was a question in the Discord while we were live. What's a better offer for Diggs on a rebuilding team? 2023 first and 24 second, Devonta Smith and 24 first, or neither?
None.
And so that's coming from Hey David.
No, if you're rebuilding, none.
Definitely not the DVS one. I mean, I could maybe get behind the just the picks, but not the DVS one. But I'd probably
most likely
lean either.
A top 3. No, no.
Oh no. Yeah, no. Definitely not top 3. No,
just no. Absolutely not. You don't want to buy depreciating assets if you're rebuilding. That's something we didn't even touch on.
See, I read that as he was selling Diggs. That's how I read it. So I was like, oh, if you can get a top 3 2023 first and a second next year, and you're selling Diggs, then that's something I'd be looking at.
If he's selling Diggs, then give me the DVS trade.
Give me that top 3 one. Never mind, not the 24.
See,
give me that 20. Give me that 23 one at a top 2 or 3. You know why? Because if you take one of the, so if Bijan goes at 101, and you're sitting there, oh no, I get Bryce Young or Stroud or Addison or
Jahmyr
all those
Gibbs.
guys. All those guys are going to have more value than Devonta Smith will next year. Period. Devonta Smith will never be a top 12 wide receiver in the NFL in Dynasty football. He won't. He just won't. I don't see a scenario where Devonta Smith has that. He's locked in. He's locked in with the Eagles. He would need a trade. He would need something. He need AJ Brown to retire. He would need to not have a team that runs the ball like they do, even when they shouldn't. You got to realize a top 12 Dynasty asset is a lot. Like at one,
he has the talent to do it. So
Agreed.
it's not insane. Something would have to change, but it's not insane to think that it can happen.
Right, but I don't want to base it on like.
I don't see the trade. So I mean, if it's a top 23 first or top 3 23 first, and what'd you say, and a 23 second?
It's a
24 second.
It's a 24-2 and a 23 top 2 or 3 pick. I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Especially on a rebuilding.
If he's selling that makes sense.
You take one of those 2 quarterbacks, bingo, bango, bongo.
Don't buy for that though.
2x. Don't absolutely not.
Yeah, especially if you're rebuilding.
It's just as simple as that. You don't want to buy depreciating assets on a rebuilder unless you can absolutely score a Cooper Kupp who's hurt right for the year, or Derrick Henry who's hurt for the year, so you can retool for the next year. Then you buy hella low at replacement plus 100% of the time, in my opinion. I'm still buying Michael Thomas shares because I can trade like Paris Campbell in a third for it, and I'm like, fuck yeah, absolutely. There's just that. All right, so if there's no more questions, everyone, we absolutely.
I have a question for you all.
Okay.
All right? To address what I think is my biggest weakness as a dynasty manager, my biggest weakness is I love young receivers. Who doesn't love young receivers? But I love young receivers before they start to produce. Wanting to buy before they actually get to that point to where, things are going good, and then you're having to pay multiple first for them. So I am a sucker for buying people like Elijah Moore.
Sure.
On these rebuilding teams, when do you actually buy these young receivers? Or do you not? Do you just go, I'm going to hold my picks, I'm going to take the shot that I have and move on?
I'm going to steal one of the smartest people's takes. I think he's one of the smartest people on the planet, and it's Jacob Sanderson.
Thank you.
Who said shut up, John. Who said the same? Beth is what makes you smart, all right? Your whole thing is a facade. Skynet runs
I created
Skynet
Beth.
runs you.
Doesn't that count?
And now Beth operates on her own. She does
That's
not
true.
need you.
That is very
created
true.
Skynet, and now you are worthless. Admit it. Anyway.
I clicked the button that downloads the stats. That counts, right?
It does. But Jacob said this: you don't pay draft capital for future wide receiver production. Period. You want if you're trading your draft capital, it's for players who are producing now. That's it.
Right.
Now, in this regard, I would go and I would trade a guy, not for Elijah Moore, but let's say John mentioned Garrett Wilson earlier. Trade T. Higgins for Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
because
you can get a plus.
Maybe, but even if not, 1-for-1, I do that. We know what T. Higgins.
I don't like
is.
1-for-1 deals. They're just somebody's going to lose, So I just don't like it.
Absolutely, but we know what T. Higgins' ceiling is. We don't know what Garrett Wilson's ceiling is, and we know that Garrett Wilson has a draft capital, and we know that he's a number one. Right, all this stuff. We've seen what T. Higgins is without Chase, so we know what he is now.
I think the important thing to do, there's no one answer, but if you really like young wide receiver, production, that's what you want to get. And I think it's smart. Like you're saying, you're trying to get them before they blow up. Then I think you either need to have a really good, solid process for finding out who the players, who the best prospects are going to be. Or you need to listen to the full Tilt Devy podcast so that you can listen to people that have solid process and tell you who to draft. But I mean, obviously I'm being serious. You should listen to the podcast, yes. But I'm also, all joking aside, I think the biggest thing is look for perfect situations like Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks is a talented wide receiver that I believe in. He was my wide receiver 2 in the class. And yet he got hurt, and he didn't start out, but he was creeping up incrementally each week, and he was getting better, and then he got hurt. And then people are like, "Oh, he sucks. He's terrible," because he got hurt. He got turf toe. And then, if you had bought then, some point in the last couple of weeks, if you had bought him, you probably could have got him for a second, a couple seconds, maybe something like that. That's how you do it. So, the point is, don't go out and spend 2 firsts on a young wide receiver like Chris Olave. People are going to be like, "Oh, I want 2 firsts." Don't go do that. Either draft Chris Olave at 106 like I did, or go get a player like Treylon Burks, those kind of players where you can go, even maybe a David Bell. You can get David Bell for nothing right now because he's literally done nothing. But he has Jacoby Brissett throwing him the ball right now.
Jacoby Myers would be an upgrade.
It would be an upgrade. But he's not going to have Jacoby Brissett throwing him the ball in a couple of weeks. So I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I could easily see David Bell skyrocketing in value. You buy him for a third or a couple thirds or whatever, and then by the end of the season, he's worth a second, 2 seconds, a first, whatever, that kind of thing.
So Olave hasn't produced enough at this point to you all to where he's worth buying at market price right now.
Well, his market price has dipped. So I mean, there's an opportunity. I think he's dope. So I've already bought Chris Olave at his one first plus price. I think he's dope. I think he'll be a top 12 dynasty receiver. He already is now. I think he'll stay there regardless of what happens. I think he's in. I think that are you buying the rookies? Okay, that's going to be pricey. Is that beneficial? I mean, probably not. I think you need to be fluid in your view of the market, right? Like George Pickens right now, again, shout out to Keep Trade Cut. George Pickens is wide receiver 18. I would love to trade George Pickens for Christian Kirk plus. I would love to trade Pickens for Treylon Burks, who's wide receiver 32. Won't be for long because that's how this whole thing works. Market changes. But right now, I would love to trade George Pickens for Treylon Burks plus. I would trade George Pickens for Treylon Burks straight up, but you shouldn't have to. I think the answer to your question truly lays within your micro market. So first, it's your market, and then your micro market, which would be your leagues.
Right.
So I think that's what's important. I think you can walk in and take your base value of what market price is, which is, again, I said this earlier, whatever market you want to use, that's your market price. Whether it's your favorite analysts' ranks, whether it's a couple of websites, whether it's Keep Trade Cut, whether it's trade calculators, whether it's DTC, doesn't matter. Your market is your market. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not. But the more important market is your micro market, because you can sit there and say, trust me, this happened to me. DJ Moore to you might be a top 8 dynasty wide receiver, but if the rest of your league goes, fuck that, he's like wide receiver 18, you're fucked. You have to adjust. You have to adjust.
Yeah, but that's when you turn around and you actually start buying him. If you're not me, because I already have him in every league, but I can't buy him. Like that's the problem. But like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be a rookie. It could be a DJ Moore. We know he is a stud. We know he is a top 12 talent in the league. He's not in the top 12 situation, but how quickly can and will that change? They've already drafted a good QB in Matt Corral. And then, people are talking about them drafting another first-round QB, this next year.
God,
I
Corral
think
sucks.
Corral sucks.
Sucks.
What is wrong with you? There's a reason why I took your spot on the Full Tilt Devy pod, and it's because of your QB sucks. Analysis.
You know what made Corral cool? How swaggy he looked in the Ole Miss jersey. That's it. Outside of that, trash can.
Ole Miss jersey is way overrated. Way overrated.
Oh,
Sorry. I'm going to throw that out there. Way overrated.
You don't get a say because you're biased in the whole college football world.
Oh, Tennessee does have some pretty swaggy jerseys.
New jerseys coming out Saturday with the orange helmets.
I'm just saying the NFL looked at Corral and was like, yeah, he's basically Malik Willis. So
we're completely off the rails. I love it.
I'm just saying the NFL agreed.
Trying to end the show. Let's try to end the show. Sorry.
I tried already. You brought us back. We're going long, baby. That's just what's going down.
All right.
But I think the idea, again, don't buy into how many times do we sit here and we say, oh, this running back is going to be sick because he has a projected workload. Happened with Mike Davis. Best video I ever made was a PSA to not draft Mike Davis. The best video I ever made. I'm so proud of that. But that's every year. Tyler Algier got a bump because of where he went and his perceived workload. I think we do that with receivers too. I just think we're not as open to admitting that's what we're doing. Diontae Johnson, good wide receiver, very good. His peripherals, fantastic. Unfortunately, not good enough to beat what's happening. And it really sucks because I think everything about Diontae Johnson is really good. But
that's why when you look at a player like Diontae Johnson and you see that he was living off of volume, he's not actually that great. He's just living off of volume. His peripherals said that he was decent. But he was getting 180 targets a year. That's what was keeping that value up. And then the targets go away. And then the targets go away because the volume went away. And what do you know? He's terrible.
His targets are still good. Just the offense is dog shit. He has no touchdowns.
He used to get like 16 targets a game, and now he's getting 8.
People also, again, that's what I'm talking about with perception, though, because I still think Diontae Johnson is good, and his target share is really good because targets are earned, but the peripherals of his production are going down. And what sucks is that when you're taking him in the 5th round, like people were doing because he was a perceived top 12 dynasty wide receiver because of his perceived workload, and that doesn't happen, now you're screwed. So I think it is, instead of buying perceived production, even from wide receivers, especially for tight ends, because fuck that. You should want 3 tight ends in fantasy football. That's it. That's Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts. That's it. That's all you should want.
Dulcich?
I want Greg Dulcich, but now his price is starting to reach into the top 6, so he's not draftable to me, and he's not trade-forable to me. But Kyle Pitts, because his dynasty value is just never going to take a hit because he's just beloved, and he is a really good player, just in a shitty sitch because Arthur Smith is trying to ruin all of us forever. Mark Andrews because he's young and super dope, and Travis Kelce because he's going to be good until he retires, period. That's it. So don't buy tight end perceived value. So the same way you look at tight ends should be the same way you look at wide receivers in that regard, in my opinion, for perceived value. But
I asked the question because Rashad Bateman and Elijah Moore in particular, I mean, there's others, but those two really got me in trouble this season. And you can see it in a lot of my
I drafted a lot
too.
of Elijah Moore last year. I do believe in the talent. I believe now they've moved him into the slot, so maybe it's going to get better, but it does not look great. But the thing is, when I realized that they were drafting Garrett Wilson, I was off the Elijah Moore train because Garrett Wilson's a better wide receiver. So like you have to look at stuff like that. I believe in Rashad Bateman's talent, but he went to a team without a QB. So like I can't love the player anymore. You have to look at stuff like that and actually use context. And context matters. So
you want to talk about Marquise Brown then and how good he was?
And how he got better when he went to a better QB?
He's on pace actually. While he and Lamar Jackson were healthy, I hate to break it to you, but Marquise Brown was just as good with Lamar Jackson.
No, he was like a top 6 wide receiver before he got hurt this year.
And he was a top 6 wide receiver in Baltimore before he and Lamar Jackson both got hurt 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
I can pull the article I wrote and read it line by fucking line. The stats are all there to prove it. Period.
You said Lamar Jackson, so it can't be true.
Yeah, exactly. You biased fuck. Jesus Christ. You're absolutely insufferable. You're an insufferable human being. But I love you for it. Again, I really hope people enjoyed us just yelling at me and John yelling at each other. This is what brings John and I together. I'm going to try to end the program. But on ending the program, I'll say this. Please do not buy for presumed workload. Buy situation, talent, and monitor the market and stay active in your leagues, and your trade deadline this year will be much more successful. I like John too. I like him. I think his takes are shit, but I like John as well. I think he's a good human, and I can't wait to meet him in person.
Love you, Andy.
In Canton. It's also why I brought Andy on.
I'll Venmo you in a little bit.
I think that there's a revolt going on in my own brand that I need to squash somehow. I'm not just firing Lucas. I might be cleaning house after today's show. I don't know. We'll see.
It was fun while it lasted. Thank you all for having me.
Tilt Devy Pod taking over, baby.
Yeah. I love it here. Final thoughts as we go around the horn. Lucas?
All right. I'll actually have a final thought this time. It's week 11, guys. You should know where your team's at. Actually, really look yourself in the mirror. Have an honest conversation with you and all the players on your fantasy teams.
Oh my God. I can just picture someone looking themselves in the mirror. Look at you fuck. All right. You fuck.
Oh, gosh.
You're playing Darius Slayton, you piece of shit. Give up already. Your fucking season. Don't look at me like that. I know it. It's over. All right. Trade everyone. You're useless. You're garbage. Okay. You're garbage.
I must have left my camera on last night whenever I was looking at my teams. But honestly, don't call your mom before you get on to these, or before you start looking at your team to get a self-esteem boost. No, look at realistically. Either you're contending or you're not contending, and you don't want to be at the 106. All right, you do not want to finish 6th. That gets you nothing. Finishing 7th gets you nothing. Okay? Have these honest conversations. Make the moves you need to make. Because you need to be on one of the two spectrums, or you need to be like, okay, next year's the year. All right? Have these honest conversations, though. Move forward.
John, you're the guest. A final thought before we get out of here?
Final thought. I've been wanting to do a podcast just because I listen to so many podcasts. I see so many things on Twitter. And I feel like we've lost common sense when it comes to Dynasty. Like, you look at a player catch 3 passes for 2 touchdowns, or 3 passes for 3 touchdowns.
I wonder who John's talking about, guys.
and all of a sudden, they're the Dynasty wide receiver 12. So just let's chill. Let's actually look at use some common sense, use our brains when it comes to players. And, just because somebody's 21 doesn't mean that they have to be a top 12 player if they catch a touchdown or something like that. So obviously there's a lot of different scenarios, and I wasn't just talking about one particular player. I've seen it so many times with other players. You were talking about George Pickens earlier. Like,
Yeah.
he was literally skyrocketed into the top 12 of Dynasty wide receivers because of one catch. Okay, it was a beautiful catch, but let's think about why he had to make that catch. Because he was so closely covered, and it was a poor throw. So, like, yes, he did an amazing thing, but it was because he didn't separate from the defender, and then he had to dive and make a beautiful one-handed catch. It's great that he can make that kind of catch, but let's think about why, and and maybe not skyrocket them into the top 12. But that was my rant. I might just do a full pod on it because I really do think that there's a lot to talk about. I can't wait to the
off season, John. We're gonna ramp up to like 5 pods a week. I have a feeling, and you and I are gonna do 3. I can't wait.
Absolutely.
Lucas is crying a little bit on the inside, but we'll get it figured out.
And on the outside too.
Yeah,
it's okay.
My final thoughts are this. If you're looking around your league, okay, and you're wondering why no trades are getting done, I'm going to steal my final thought from my pod on Tuesday, all right? Because I think it's still relevant. I think it's still very important. This is very important. If you're looking around your league and you have to text all your friends and all your group chats and all your league chats about how everyone in your league sucks because they don't know how to trade, the problem is you. The problem is not the league. The problem is you. Okay, if nobody is biting on your values or thinks you're insane or even just doesn't want to vibe with you, there's a couple of reasons. A, you're a prick, which is fine, right? But take noted. At the end of the day, the problem is going to be you. Your values are clearly not in line with the league's.
Why are you staring at Lucas right now?
Because that's where my camera is. Yeah, that's where my screen is. Fine.
I'll
do it right burning here. A hole in his shirt.
I'm the problem. It's me.
No. Look, listen here. Okay? If you're in your league and you can't get trades done, fucker, the problem is you. I'm sorry. Right? If you think your league is just full of fish, look around. You're in the same school, baby. All right? Other people are getting deals done and you're not. Your values are off. I'm not saying that they're wrong. They could be right. But the micro market says go fuck yourself. And you need to remember that. Okay? So please, this trade deadline, take a sit back. And instead of taking all your screenshots and sending it to your friends in your group chats, do some business.
I have a really weird erection right now.
Yeah, that's fair. There you go. That's an intimate moment. We're going to call that an intimate fantasy football moment. And we're going to get the hell out of here. And of course, I always want to remind everyone that there are people on the other side of the screen, even everyone that I just called a fuckface. Okay? I know that you're a person and I know that you have feelings. Okay. And I think it's important to remember that while we're arguing and yelling at each other on the internet. And you should be constantly checking on your loved ones, even if you're not sure if they need it. I want to remind everyone that we go live Tuesday with the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. We go live Wednesday with the Full Tilt Devy podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
We have the college football recap. We have the weekly review by Big Billy. We have the walkabout here every Friday. We post 12 clips a week, 12 videos a week over there on the YouTubes. We're all over the place. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps drive us up. Leave a comment. You don't have to tell me anything. You can tell me that my shirt sucks. That Patrick over here is a piece of shit. Doesn't matter what you say, as long as you say it helps drive us up the charts with all the rate and reviews. We absolutely love you for it. I want to remind everyone that clear eyes and full hearts can never lose. Your best days, well, goddamn, they're always spent tilted. Good night, everyone.